Unfortunately, if you've been watching the presidential race, you know that we need to stand up now more than ever. Just yesterday, it came out that Donald Trump had said back in 2007, that is the year before the Estradas lost their home, that he was, quote, excited for the real estate market to crash because, quote, I've always made more money in bad markets than good. That's right. The rest of us were horrified by what happened during the 2008 financial crisis, by what happened to millions of families like Mr. Estrada's that were forced out of their homes. But Donald Trump was drooling over the idea of a housing meltdown because it meant he could buy up more property on the cheap. What kind of a man does that? What kind of a man roots for people to get thrown out of their house? What kind of man roots for people to get thrown out of their jobs, to root for people to lose their pensions, to root for two little girls in Clark County, Nevada, to end up living out of a van? What kind of a man does that? I'll tell you exactly what kind of a man does that. It is a man who cares about no one but himself. A small, insecure money grubber who doesn't care who gets hurt so long as he makes a profit off it. What kind of a man does that? A man who will never be president of the United States. Now, sometimes Trump claims that he is tough on Wall Street, tough on the guys who cheated people like Mr. Estrada. You may have heard him say that. But now, he's singing a very different song. Last week, he said that the new Dodd-Frank financial regulations have, and I'm going to quote here, made it impossible for bankers to function. And he will put out a new plan soon that, quote, will be close to dismantling Dodd-Frank. Donald Trump is worried about helping poor little Wall Street. Let me find the world's smallest violin to play a sad, sad song. No, really. Can Donald Trump even name 3 things about Dodd-Frank? Someone should ask, right? But this much Donald Trump should know. If he is so tough on Wall Street, then he should be cheering on Dodd-Frank's capital and leverage requirements that have made the big banks less likely to fail. If he is so tough on Wall Street, he should be cheering on Dodd-Frank's living wills process, which has helped push big banks to become safer. If he is so tough on Wall Street, he should be cheering on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which has forced those big banks to return $11 billion directly to people they cheated. He should be, but he is not. Now that he has sewn up the Republican nomination, Donald Trump is dropping all pretense. He's kissing the fannies of the poor, misunderstood Wall Street bankers. But the American people are a whole lot smarter than Donald Trump thinks they are. The American people are not looking for a bait and switch. They are not looking for a man so desperate for power that he will say or do anything to get elected. Take the hint, Donald. The time for letting big banks call all the shots in Washington, it's over. And I just want to make one more point about Donald Trump, a point that won't quite fit into a Twitter war. But the last point that I want to make really sums up Donald Trump and what he's all about. His taxes. Yeah, now, let's be clear. We don't know what Donald Trump pays in taxes because he is the first presidential nominee in 40 years to refuse to disclose his tax returns. I mean, look, maybe he is just a lousy businessman and he doesn't want everyone to know that he's not as rich as he claims to be. But we do know this. The last time that his taxes were made public, Donald Trump paid nothing. Zero. Zero. Zero taxes before, and for all we know, he's paying zero taxes today, and he's proud of it. 2 weeks ago, he said that he was more than happy to dodge taxes because he doesn't want to throw his money, quote, down the drain. Donald Trump likes being a billionaire, but he doesn't think that the rules that apply to everyone else should apply to him. But let's be clear, Donald Trump didn't get rich on his own. His businesses rely on roads and bridges paid for by the rest of us. His businesses rely on workers who are educated by the rest of us. They rely on police and firefighters who protect the rest of us and who are supported by the rest of us. Donald Trump and his businesses are protected by a world-class military that defends us abroad and keeps us safe at home, and the rest of us pay to support. When anyone builds something terrific, they should get to keep a big hunk of it. But they should also pay a fair share forward so that the next kid and the next kid and the next kid will have a chance to build something too. That's how we build a real future in America. And that goes double for Donald Trump. He inherited a fortune from his father, kept it going by scamming people, declaring bankruptcy, and then skipping out on what he owed. Let's be clear. Nurses and teachers and dock workers, they paid their fair share to keep Trump's businesses going. Programmers and engineers and small business owners, they paid their fair share to support our military, who show courage and sacrifice every day. Donald Trump thinks that supporting them is throwing money down the drain. Then I say we throw Donald Trump down the drain. You bet. Let's face it, Donald Trump is about exactly one thing: Donald Trump. It is time for some accountability because these statements disqualify Donald Trump to ever be president of the United States. The free ride is over. Now, I focus tonight on the urgent threat that is Donald Trump for exactly that reason, because the threat is urgent. But we all know that beating Trump is only one step toward rebuilding America's working families. The central question at this juncture in our history is who this country works for. Whether this country works for billionaires like Trump and their big bank friends, or whether this country works for everyone else, for the people who get up every day and work their tails off and who are sick and tired of always getting the short end of the stick. That's what matters. And each and every one of you works on different pieces of that fight. Wall Street accountability and Fed reform, minimum wage and overtime pay, fair scheduling, a livable planet, workers' rights and racial justice. You know the list, you know the stakes, you know the challenges. But I know one thing. Whether we're talking about Donald Trump or we're talking about changing this country, You can't win if you don't fight. And we're in this fight, and we're in it to win. Thank you all so much tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You bet.